Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. I'm seriously thrilled to have you here today because we're going to completely demystify a process that, honestly, usually fills people with absolute dread. I'm talking about building a brand. We've all been there, right? It's late at night, you're sitting at your desk, just staring at that awful blinking cursor on a blank screen. You've got this incredible business idea, but the thought of actually creating a brand identity around it, it feels like climbing Mount Everest. You're trying to brainstorm names, agonizing over color palettes, second-guessing every single word. For years, the traditional path to creating a professional identity has been this incredibly drawn-out, painful process. It kind of makes you feel like you need a fancy design degree just to get started. But today, we're going to challenge the biggest myths around that whole process and show you how to take a massive, incredibly practical shortcut using AI.
All right, let's just dive right in and totally shatter the biggest illusion about branding out there. Most of us have been taught that to build a great brand, you have to be some sort of creative genius. We think we have to wait around for a lightning bolt of inspiration, or that we just naturally need an artistic eye to stand out. Honestly, that's simply not true. Branding isn't about raw creativity at all. It's actually about clarity, speed, and consistency. In today's hyper-competitive market, the brand that wins isn't necessarily the one with the most abstract, clever art direction. The winner is the brand that knows exactly what it stands for, communicates that to the world without hesitation, and delivers that exact same feeling consistently across every single platform. Basically, it's about being clear, not clever.
So, here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to start by exposing the great branding myth, then we'll break down the core framework. After that, we'll navigate around the backwards branding trap, introduce you to your AI dream team, and finally, wrap things up with a highly practical brand kit assignment.
Okay, part one, the great branding myth.
Look, if you've ever felt completely overwhelmed trying to figure out your brand's look and feel, you are absolutely not alone. The whole industry has basically been built on making this process feel super complicated and exclusive. Think about the old way for a second. Traditionally, businesses believed they had to hire these expensive agencies just to figure out who they were. We're talking endless boardroom meetings, staring at vague mood boards that don't even make sense, and dropping anywhere from 50 grand to 5 lakh rupees. And the absolute worst part, after waiting weeks or months and draining your budget, people still ended up feeling uncertain about their own messaging. But listen, you don't have to play that game anymore. With the AI shortcut, you can get that exact same level of professional clarity in literally one day for an absolute fraction of the cost. You're empowered now. You don't need a pricey agency to tell you what your brand is. You just need the right process to uncover it yourself.
Moving right along to section 2, the core framework.
So if we're taking pure creativity off its pedestal, what on earth are we replacing it with? Well, we're replacing it with a structured, highly logical framework that's based on absolute clarity. A brand is simply a series of clear decisions. Let that sink in for a moment. It's not some mystical art form reserved for the elite. It's not a magical vibe you have to somehow capture in a bottle. It's just a logical sequence of choices that you make about your business. Once you realize this, that immense, suffocating pressure to be a creative genius just vanishes. You don't have to invent a brilliant brand out of thin air. You literally just have to sit down, think critically, and make a few calculated choices.
The real trick here is knowing exactly which choices you need to make to build this framework. And honestly, your entire brand boils down to answering 5 core questions. Let's break these down, because this is where the magic actually happens. First up, who are you? This is your core identity. Are you the rebellious disruptor in your industry, or are you the comforting, reliable guide? Second, what do you believe? This is your mission, way beyond just making money. Say you run a fitness coaching business. Maybe your core belief isn't just about losing weight, but about empowering people to literally take their lives back. Third, how do you sound? This is your tone. Do you use slick corporate language, or are you super casual, playful, and dropping emojis in your emails? Fourth, what do you look like? Now we're getting into visuals. Your colors and fonts need to naturally match the tone you just set. And finally, the big one, why should people remember you? What's your unique hook in a totally crowded market? When you make clear, definitive decisions on these 5 points, something amazing happens. Your audience instantly gets you, they build trust in your message, and you become super memorable long after they've scrolled past your post.
Which brings us to section 3, the backwards branding trap.
Now, as simple as those 5 questions are, most beginners get the order completely, hopelessly wrong, and this leads to a fatal flaw that you absolutely must avoid. Backwards branding happens when you jump straight to the visual aesthetics before you've done any of the underlying strategic thinking. It's such a classic mistake. You sit down, open your laptop, and immediately think, okay, what's a catchy name? Or what's the perfect logo? But imagine spending thousands of rupees on this sleek, beautiful logo, paying a designer, slapping it on a website, and then when a potential customer asks what your business actually does and why they should care, you just stumble over your words. If you're picking colors and fonts before you know what your mission is or how you want to sound, you are literally building a house without a foundation. You're guessing. And let me tell you, guessing always leads to weak, forgettable brands.
I need you to hear this loud and clear. A logo does not build your brand. Understanding this right now is going to save you weeks of wasted effort and frustration. A catchy name alone won't make people remember you or buy your stuff. If your underlying strategy is weak, if you don't know who you are, what you believe, or who you're talking to, even the most beautiful, expensive, award-winning logo in the world cannot save you. Visuals are just the clothing that your strategy wears. You have to define your story, your message, and your tone first. And the cool part, once you have that deep foundational clarity, picking a logo and selecting brand colors actually becomes ridiculously easy, because the strategy practically makes the design choices for you.
All right, on to Section 4, your AI Dream Team. This is where it gets really fun.
So how do we actually get that strategic clarity super fast without doing it all alone? Well, instead of hiring a massive team of human agency executives to hold your hand through those 5 core questions, you're going to assemble an elite, highly specialized staff of AI tools. Let's look at how this workflow actually operates in the real world. First up is ChatGPT. I want you to treat ChatGPT as your creative director. When you're staring at that blank page, you tell your creative director, hey, give me 10 bold, energetic taglines for a new online fitness brand. In seconds, it generates ideas, helps outline your brand story, and drafts a core mission. It's your ultimate rapid brainstorming partner. Now, naturally, some of those initial ideas might be a little cheesy or off-brand. So you take the best 3 options and hand them over to Gemini, who acts as your clarity coach. You ask Gemini, which of these taglines is the most logical, clear, and impactful for a millennial audience? Gemini is going to ruthlessly refine your ideas, clearly summarize your tone of voice, and make sure your decisions aren't just fluffy guesswork, but actually make solid sense. Finally, you take your absolute best idea to Perplexity. Perplexity is your brand researcher. You hand it your refined tagline and say, search the internet and see how other online fitness brands are positioning themselves. Tell me if anyone else is already using this tagline. Perplexity scours the web, spots trends in your niche, and crucially, makes sure you aren't accidentally copying a competitor. By chaining these specific tools together, you aren't just using software. You're running your own virtual agency that delivers research-backed, highly refined clarity.
And finally, Section 5, the Brand Kit Assignment. Now that you've got your AI Dream Team assembled, it's time to put them to work. We're moving from theory into practice, and I really want you to take action on this today. Go into Google Drive or Notion, whatever you prefer, and create a master folder called My Brand Kit. Inside that master folder, you're going to set up this exact structure of 6 subfolders: name, tagline, voice, story, visuals, and final brand kit. Why is this simple folder structure so magical? It's pure psychology. By creating these folders first, you're setting up empty buckets that basically demand to be filled. It completely cures blank page syndrome because it breaks a massive, terrifying project down into 6 highly manageable little tasks. Plus, this exact structure is literally the deliverable an expensive agency would hand you after 3 months of costly meetings. As you work with your AI creative director, your clarity coach, and your brand researcher, you'll just drop your finalized, clear decisions right into these folders. By the end of it, you won't have a scattered, anxiety-inducing mess of notes. You'll have a complete, highly professional brand identity, perfectly organized and ready to deploy.
As we wrap up this explainer, this is the core takeaway I want you to remember. Great brands aren't built through random creative ideas, luck, or just waiting around for inspiration to strike. They are built through clear, intentional decisions. And by leveraging ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity in a structured workflow, you can make those critical decisions faster, smarter, and with total confidence. By the way, if you found this breakdown valuable and you want to dive even deeper into mastering AI workflows, digital marketing, and other high-income skills, definitely go check out the practical courses over at Digital Product Forge by visiting digitalproductforge.online. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to chew on today. Take a good look at your current projects or that business you've always dreamed of starting and ask yourself honestly, are your brand decisions truly intentional, or are they just random creative guesses? It's time to stop guessing. Fire up your AI Dream Team, fill up those folders, and start building your brand with absolute clarity today.